Good morning, everybody. So today we have gathered to discuss some pertinent issues. This is unlike the earlier session that we did. Today our discussion will remain focused on contemporary India. The issues which are there in the country, whether on the social front or on the political front or on the economic front or otherwise. So, any such thing which is happening in the country, in our society, which affects us, which is important for us, and then obviously we are not focusing anything happening outside. So, that way no international dimension is there, but definitely anything that we talk about in our country, the perspective has to be such wherein we can say that this global perspective in any case is required. Anything that we do or anything that we study or anything that we analyze and try to extract meaning of whatever is happening around, there has to be a global perspective to that, because we are living in a world which is connected in so many ways, and technology is such which has connected us all the time. When internet is there, we are connected to any person living in any part of the world. So, the problems or the issues cannot be segregated in fact and cannot be seen in isolation. Right. So, the kind of phase with which we all are passing through, there are issues with regard to pandemic, this coronavirus, and anything which is happening in South Africa is affecting us directly, because if some infected person comes to our person, then we have to take necessary measures and all, and we all were opening up as we are sitting in this physical space. But then there is again danger involved, and nobody knows as to what is going to happen tomorrow. Keeping in view the things which are happening in other parts of the world. So, that is how we are connected, and we have to think about the developments which are happening in other countries. But then coming back to what is happening in India, there are issues like there are farmers issues, there are issues with regard to functioning of parliament, with regard to freedom of the press and democracy, with regard to role of the judiciary in the present day setup, with regard to the economic conditions prevailing in our country, with regard to the social fabric or the social issues, whether we talk about the issues related to caste or religion or communities or race or gender. So, all these issues we need to understand, and BJMC is such kind of course wherein you need to have a fair understanding of this all, and your worldview has to be open, your mind has to be open, has to remain open, wherein you are looking at whatever developments are happening in the right earnest, with no prejudices, with not taking sides on any irrational ground. So, that is the kind of approach which has to be there. And when we talk about media education, in fact for me, media education is all about your thought process. Obviously, technology is important, skill is important, and that is how we are sitting here. You can see that we are connected with the help of the technology, whether we are sitting in this studio or outside the studio, all the time we are making use of the technology. But when we are making use of the technology, in what way we are using it, for what purpose we are doing it, and how we are using this technology for the creation of the content, for the dissemination of the content, and what kind of content, whether all those contents are in the larger interest of the society or all that is being done for some vested interest to create bickerings in the society. So, all these issues need to be addressed. And as I have made out till date, also on the basis of the program that I did with you people last week. So, I could make out that there are people in this crowd who think on important issues, who have their take on whatever is happening, which is a good thing. In the initial phase, we tried to organize all these induction or the orientation lectures. 2 lectures have already happened, 4 more to go. From today to Saturday, 4 more orientation lectures will happen. Besides that, 2 more lectures we have scheduled today and day after, on which is part of this Vibrant India series, which we are conducting already. And today will be the 19th episode of that program. And we are committed to have 75 episodes of that program. And then we also have the B.G. Varghese lecture series, which is a monthly affair wherein we invite distinguished people to come and talk to the students. And since during the last almost 2 years, this has not been becoming possible, inviting the people to the campus. So we are doing this online. But then we have tried to take the benefit of this online thing, wherein in B.G. Varghese lecture series we have started inviting the foreign scholars, the foreign media persons, till the time this is not becoming possible in the physical space. So that's a boon wherein we are able to connect to the foreign scholars in media or the journalists of different countries. So this is all about what I could tell you at the outset. But then again, as I said, this session I want to devote to your questions, right? Anything that you think upon, any question that strikes your mind, the answer of which you are trying to find out. So any such thing you can ask, right? And I will try to answer to the best of my knowledge and abilities. But one thing, as I said, I repeat, I wish that everybody, and I believe that should be the case also, you should be with any open mind and your original mind, without affecting with whatever is happening outside, even in the on the media front. It's not that everything is good in the media. As far as the television is concerned or even radio is concerned, print is not affected to that extent, but obviously the broadcast media, we have problems, and we need to understand where are the problems. Only then we will be able, or you will be able to address those problems once you join the industry. So now I make this floor open to you people. Anything that anybody wants to ask, the only thing which I want, your question has to be very, very precise, very pointed, very focused, so that I can answer that the same way. No generalization should be there, no beating around the bush should be there, very straight on the point should be there, and then I will try to answer that way only. Yeah. Any question that anybody wants to ask?
Hi sir, I'm Sajal, and my question to you is, what is your opinion, like character rooted knowledge, how it helps to reduce the crime or any other thing?
Your question is not very clear. Character rooted knowledge.
How this can help us to grow and reduce crime and other things?
It all depends how do we define character, right? If it is all about the virtues that a person should have, even character or virtues, all these things are not static. All these things are not actually universal. All these things are related to the culture. And culture varies from country to country, from society to society, but definitely one should have some such things which are universal, in the sense that we should think positive, we should not do anything wrong against anybody, and we should always be ready to help others. We should be empathetic to other people. So these are the things which in any case nobody can deny that these things have to be there, because if that is not there, then we will fail to live as a society. In a society, nobody can live in isolation, nobody should live independently, in the sense that you are not connected to anybody and you feel that you can do the things the way you like, uninfluenced by others. That kind of approach should not be there. We all are the social beings, so we have to always think about others. Which is very much part of Indian culture, but then there are certain notions that we have the best culture, we have the best virtues, we are the best society, which is completely unfounded. There are good people in every part of the world, there are bad people in every part of the world, in every country. We should try to subscribe to any good things which is there in our society, which is there in other societies, and that perspective will help us in developing ourselves who are always concerned for others. So that is what I can tell you on this.
It's pretty much clear.
Hello sir, myself Vinayak Yadav. Sir, I have a doubt, like as we all know, DMA releases every week a newsletter. So how does it help in broadening the students' mindset?
There are various ways. I mean, not only the newsletter thing, there are various ways wherein we try to address the students, right? If I can tell you something broader, when it comes to education, right? What exactly is the purpose of education, right? We all need to have an answer to this. According to me, when we say education, so for me, education is a process through which we help the students to ensure his or her mental growth, to his or her intellectual growth, and you finally, after your education, you finally turn out to be a thinking human being, right? Wherein you have an independent mind, wherein you have some original thoughts, and wherein you have certain ideas, and then you have the capability to translate those ideas into reality, right? So that's the ultimate goal. If we know the goal, then we can try to achieve that goal through various means, right? So taking out a newsletter is one of the means to achieve that goal, wherein a student is mostly covering an event, sitting in a session, listening to the people, taking the notes, writing a news report, then the news report is being edited, it is headlined, and it's placed on the page. Now, through this process, you will definitely grow. There can be no two opinions on that. How much growth will be there? It is obviously very difficult to assess actually that by writing this report, how much you have attained. But then attainment of knowledge, your learning is a very long process. It's not a one-day affair. So gradually you will learn. That's towards your learning, towards attainment of knowledge. Another aspect of that is that once you are studying in a course like BJMC, when you go to the industry, media, despite whatever problems we find in media today, but one thing is for sure, media is a performing art, right? You need to perform. If you are writing, you need to write a good report. If you are speaking, you have to speak proficiently with a presentable skills. When you are making a program for audio or video, whatever, you have to have those kind of skills. So skills are definitely important, but if your mental growth, intellectual growth has not happened, or if I mean whatever skills you would have acquired, you would have acquired the skill to operate a camera, but you are not sure what is to be shot, right? So that I has to be there. That I will be developed when you are undergoing through these processes, whether it's taking out a newsletter, whether it's making out programs for DME TV, whether it's anchoring a particular online program, whether coming out with some ideas and doing some program as part of the Spark. So many things are done, like in Vibrate India series, for instance, which is scheduled today. The whole format is such wherein the one of the students he or she is introducing the guest. So that part is there, and every time it is changing. So every time a new student is getting an opportunity. So once you are doing it, you will get the confidence how to present something on camera, online mode. And then we have made this part of the format wherein there is one segment wherein the students are asking the questions, right? We simply identify the student before the program for the reason that the student is mentally ready to ask the question, but we are never doing the tutoring of the student ki ye sawal पूछना है, that we don't do deliberately. And then you should be able to frame your own questions. You should have the confidence to come on camera and ask the, it's not that we are asking you to put your question in the chat and the teacher moderator will asking the question on your behalf. You can switch on your own camera and you can ask the question yourself. So these are various means wherein we are trying to work on your growth. But then obviously the benefit will be when you are reciprocal. If I am asking you to ask questions and you are not ready, if I am asking you to write something you are not ready, then obviously nothing can happen. So it has to be done in a very coordinated manner wherein you respond to whatever we are trying to do. I think your question is answered.
Hello sir, I'm Khushi Srivastava. Sir, I wanted to speak about LGBTQ. As we know that it was made legal in recent years after British came and repressed it in the past. But don't you think that they are still suffering? Either it's mentally or physically. So I think that it's high time we should include it in our primary education, that it's not only about male or female, there are others too. So only if we teach them now, they'll grow up and understand it better.
Yeah. So I think again I need to answer this question in broader terms. One thing everybody must understand, that societies evolve, right? In the sense, the things which were there in 60s and 70s changed in 80s and 90s. The things which were there at the end of the 20th century, they changed in 21st century. So there are a lot of things which evolve, right? But what we need to ensure that this evolution does not take too long. There are certain things which you can think today, like you are asking this question. No student would have been asking this question 30 years back. Nobody would have ever thought that there is something LGBTQ which is to be talked about, right? So things have been happening, but things have happened really fast. If I can look back 40, 50 years, the things which happened in 70s, 80s, 90s and which is happening today for so many reasons. 3, 4 very important things which have happened in the world. As I said, that we have to look at everything in a global perspective. What all has been happening in the world in 40, 50 years. The boundaries of the world have opened, like in the Indian context after 1991, this economic liberalization and globalization, the frontiers opened. So this brought a change in our thinking. This brought a change in the opening of the frontiers, means as far as the movement of the people from one country to another. If you just look at the figures, You can cross check those figures. So there were few people who were flying in 80s and 90s. The number increased in the beginning of the 21st century. Now it's a very common thing. So what happened? The movement from one country to another increased. When satellite communication happened, the content of channels in different countries of the world, they came to other countries. Now, I mean, in 70s, 80s, when our television was growing up, we started making so many programs by lifting the ideas from the US and other countries. Still that's happening, but now you cannot make out as to what would have happened 20 or 30 years back, because you have taken birth in a different age, different time. And then this internet came. Now these are the things which keep on evolving. So in Indian society, the issue in 60s and 70s was how to handle the dowry problems, right? The issue was how to ensure education to women. In many states still, I mean, which started 40, 50 years back, many states started completely free education for women, right? So that was the issue that time. So these things keep on changing in India also, and not only in India, mind it again. As far as LGBTQ, this, I mean, the equal right to all genders, this has not yet happened in so many developed countries of the world. It's not the question of India alone, right? But then there is more or less consensus on this, thinking wise, ideology wise, that we should have a equal and fair treatment to all genders, right? But it took too long. In India also it took too long. Again, the question which Sajal asked. Now the problem is, how do you interpret culture? Earlier it was not part of Indian culture. I mean, the people from other genders, they were never in the mainstream, and people in the mainstream, in the front, they were not ready to accept these people. Now here you find some kind of cultural contradictions. All modern thought, there may be disagreement on what I am saying, but then this is what I think. All modern thought has come from the West. Whether we like it or don't like it, we have to accept it. Our democracy is based on the libertarian philosophy which came from the West. Democracy was there in a different way in India in 1000 years or 2000 years back, but not the way we are practicing it now. It's completely a Western idea on the basis of which the democracies have evolved, right? So now in democracy we believe we have a constitution wherein the constitution says no discrimination on the basis of caste, community, sex, religion, gender, race, whatever. But then in practice that did not happen. We had to wait for the things to happen, and it is with the help of the judiciary that has happened. And if you further go deep into the LGBTQ case, there are so many judgments of High Court and the Supreme Court, right? There are two very important judgments of Delhi High Court, wherein later on Delhi High Court gave its verdict against the earlier judgment given by the same High Court. This is again, so this is how the opinions change. 5 years ago, the same judges, I mean same set of judges in the same High Court, they were thinking the other way. Now they got mentally liberated because everybody grows, mind it. Whether somebody is of 20 years of age or 50 years of age or 60 years of age, everybody grows, and we should never stop that growing process deliberately ourselves. So those judges came out with a different judgment. Then in the Supreme Court also, it took too long to when that judgment was made. And if you further look into those judgments, which must be readily available on Google, you will find that Government of India was not ready for that. Government of India tried to put all kind of obstructions in scrapping that Article 377. Right? So, but then with due course of time the government also understood that they need to change their mindset, and they have to open up the society, they have to ensure equal right to everybody irrespective of gender, because this is something which is happening in many developed countries of the world. But still we need to wait some 10-20 years more, I think, to ensure that there is no more parity in the society as far as gender is concerned.
So can I say something?
Yeah.
Sir, I understand what you said, but I've read about it that before British came, there were many writers used to write about how a woman and a woman can be in relation, or a man and man can be in a relation. So I think India was a open-minded country before. So I don't think, sir, it's something about
It's a very long subject. So I am already taking too long in answering it, because I want to answer your questions in a perspective.
Yes.
Because in a vacuum I cannot give any answers. But then what you said, I mean, it's good that young people feel that this country has been great. Even I accept, there is no denial to that. Even there have been a lot of good things in India, because India has always been a knowledge based society. Even that's true. But then once you start knowing other countries also, right, whichever way you try to know that, once you start doing that, knowing other countries, their culture, their contribution, their society, their people, then you will start realizing that there are other countries also, other societies also, who have been very good, who have been very liberated, and who have made a substantial contribution towards the development of this world, not India alone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello. Hello, sir. My name is Soumya Sen. I just wanted to confirm that is DME in support of LGBTQIA+ or not? Like, I want clarities about, can I talk about these topics openly in the college or not?
Chalo, I mean, it's a good thing that you ask. I do not know, I mean, I can answer this, but I will ask you all, do one thing if you can. Go to DME TV, right? It's a difficult task because you will find hundreds of videos there, but that will give you an idea what DME Media School is, right? 3 years back, perhaps in 2018 or 2019, somewhere, we organized an open session on this, the video of which is there on DME TV, right? So we are for all such things which are radical in nature, which are I mean, any good thing that you talk about, we are for that, right? So you can get an idea the kind of programs that we do. I mean, the kind of programs, meaning thereby the kind of topics that we choose. As you said, LGBTQ, we already had a 1.5 hour discussion, and we invited an expert to speak on that. So if you will go to that video, you will be able to listen what all was talked about and what all was said by the expert. We try to create at our own level, since I mean, here we are sitting as part of DME Media School, we are trying to create a liberated society, a very open society, wherein whatever good things you can learn, whatever good things, obviously there can be difference of opinion always, which is again a good thing. But then when I say that all good things we try to impart, this means thought-wise anything which is for freedom, anything which is for liberty, anything which is accelerating the process of your open-mindedness, of your intellectual growth, we are for that. right? And we try to do the things wherein you can look at anything which is happening around in a larger context, in a larger perspective, right? So, our job is that only. Our job is that only to make you liberated. Once that is done, you all are, with exceptions, I believe you all are adults, you all are 18 plus of age. What we believe that anybody who has acquired 18 years of age is all equal to us, right? So, I am completely averse to the idea of treating students as children. We are all equal, and this is again as per Indian culture. If you look into the old Sanskrit verses and all, you will find कि ये लिखा गया है कि जब आपका लड़का या लड़की 18 साल का हो गया, फिर वो आपका सन और डॉटर नहीं रहा, वो आपका फ्रेंड हो गया, बराबर हो गया. सो वी ट्राई टू ट्रीट यू दैट वे, wherein we can have discourses, we can have all kind of interaction, even if there is a difference of opinion, we can sit and dialogue. So, we want to do that all. Once that is done, then you will be competent enough to handle your own things without our support. Obviously, we are there for your support, but we never wish that you are dependent on us. Our job is to make you independent in terms of your identity, in terms of your career, in terms of your growth, in terms of what you want to do in your life. So, for everything you should be independent and free, right? So, our role is limited. Now, how we can do it? We, as I already answered, we try to do that, we have been trying to do that, but how much success we have got, it depends on so many factors, so many variables are there. How much interest you take? Now, today you are asking question, tomorrow you might be digress from whatever you were thinking today. Your priorities might change, your mindset may get changed. And so, that is for you to decide, because it is an internet age. Otherwise also, we cannot keep anybody as a bonded person, wherein you will do whatever we are asking you to do. We never expect that, because if we are doing it, you will never grow as an independent person, right? So, independent, I say independent in your thinking, independent in your approach, independent in your approach towards life, independent about the way you want to live, right? So, we are there, but then we want to have a very cautious approach on these things. So, lot depends on you. Nothing can be tutored, nothing can be forced. We don't believe in forcing anything on anybody. We don't want to impose anything. We want to make you a completely liberated soul, but for liberty, knowledge is the primary condition. You have to do all those things wherein every day you are learning something new. You are acquiring some new information which is finally leading to your knowledge. So, you have to be in that process. If you are not into that process, whatever efforts we do, it will be of no use. Yeah. Give the mic to.
Hello sir, my name is Shiksha. My question is that being a secular country, India faces lots of problems like having protests against bills and monuments, creating a monument. So secularism is an advantage or a disadvantage for India and its development?
Secularism has been talked about in the constitution, though it is a later inclusion. It was not there in the original constitution, but there is something called, you will be studying that subject as well in a limited sense. Secularism was not mentioned, as that word was not mentioned in Indian constitution, but it was part of the spirit of the constitution, right? I might be taking your further lectures on constitution only because, but then this I must tell you in this session only, everybody must try to read the constitution. If not the full constitution, you can find a smaller version or the selective portions of the constitution, but every Indian citizen must go through the constitution, right. So, so you will understand, though secular world was not there, later on it was included during Indira Gandhi's regime. But then what is meant by secularism? Again, you can find several interpretations of secularism, right. Because secularism is a foreign concept. Now, in the Indian context, when we try to understand this, there are different interpretations. There is one interpretation which is there, which is promoted by the right wingers. It is Sarvdharm Sambhav. Okay, so this is one interpretation. The secularism in the context of the Indian constitution, which is whatever is there in the constitution, that means that minimum role of the state in the religious affairs. This is what is said in Indian constitution, and when we try to understand what is written in the Indian constitution, we have also referred to the related judgments of the high courts and the Supreme Court. So many judgments are there, wherein it has been established again and again that as per the spirit of the constitution, as per the provisions of Indian constitution, a state should not interfere in the religious affairs of the citizens, right. So, that is what is meant by secularism in Indian constitution and Indian law. But that has not happened during the last 70 years. So, what is written is one thing, how that particular thing is being practiced is something else. Now, but last 70 years, there have been so many cases. If I can give you a very little example, which you will understand immediately in the present day context. Now, what happened after India's independence and constitution was promulgated, the first president of India was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, right. I think everybody must be knowing about that. And first prime minister of the country was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru, those who know or those who have read about him, he was a very staunch secular credential person, right. Now, so according to him, the government of India should not be seen with any religion. Religion is something which is a matter of personal faith. Now, what happens in perhaps 51 or 52, around that time, Somnath temple in Gujarat, that was renovated, right. So, there was an invitation from the temple authorities to President of India to come over and do the formal inauguration or whatever those ceremony in the temple, right. Now, in India, if you understand again the Indian constitution, the procedural thing in it. Now, whenever the president is doing anything, it is always on the advice of the cabinet, the prime minister. So, the president can obviously move as his or her own will, but then there are things wherein the president cannot do anything which is against the opinion or against the advice of the prime minister and the cabinet, right. So, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as prime minister requested Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the president of India, not to accept that invitation, right, because his point of view was that you are the president of a secular country, of a country where Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, all kind of people are living. So, you should not be seen as going to a function of a temple, right. Now, that was the viewpoint of Jawaharlal Nehru. Rajendra Prasad did not agree to that. He defied and went to Somnath temple and participated in those ceremonies, right. Now, this is an example of almost 70 years back. Now, you look at what is happening present day. The Prime ministers, president, they are openly participating in all religious ceremony, in all temples. जहाँ पूजा करने जाते हैं उसका live telecast होता है. Now just look at the difference of opinion of the people. So if you ask me, I have no hesitation in saying these are the regressive steps. These things take you backward. We are living in a world wherein we need to move forward, in which the governments have the same eye for everybody, not with any particular religion, not to with any particular set of people. The government has no role in that. But what is happening today? It is a fallout of what has been happening during the last 30-40 years. This is not happening suddenly, right? This has been happening earlier also. Even in 80s and 90s, religion was being used as a tool to get votes. But then in 80s and 90s, people were some way reluctant not to be seen this way, the way the things are happening today. But after this, I mean last 10 years or so, 7-8 years or so, whatever is happening, I mean I need not to tell you. So this is not the role of the government as per the Indian, as per the concept of secularism. The government has no role to, but even in 80s and 90s, what was happening? Certain temples where there were problems in the trust or some financial embezzlements were there, like if I can give you an example of Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. ठीक है, बहुत सारा फाइनेंशियल एम्बेजलमेंट हुआ, कुछ चोरियाँ हुई, कमेटी सेटअप हुई. फाइनली द गवर्नमेंट डिसाइडेड टू टेक ओवर द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द टेम्पल. So even today, and there are so many such temples in the country, wherein the management of the temple is in the hands of the government. So this PCS officer is in charge of that temple. Similarly, if you take examples wherein the religious fairs are organized by the government with the public money, whether it's Kumbh or earlier even the subsidy was being given for Hajj. So something which was purely a matter of personal faith, all the government entered into those areas, tried to grab those areas for the simple reason because any political party, any government, they feel that they can encash upon the religious sentiment of the people to get votes. So secularism has never been practiced in India in the real sense. And what we are seeing today is the most ugly form of the non-secular things which could be there in any time. Yeah.
One more. That other non-secular country, do you also think that they are working more smoothly than India, or they have less number of protests?
There can be no comparison for the reason that most of the countries in the world, right? Most of the countries in the world, or rather I should not use this expression because I cannot count immediately how many countries most of them, but then there are large number of countries in the world which have a homogeneity, which are homogeneous in nature. Like if there are in 100 people, 90 people of from the same religion, from the same community, then obviously there are lesser problems. There could be problem on other fronts. So, but India-like problems are not there in many countries because we are gradually moving to a society which is more divided. So, which is a sad thing. There should be no division on any count, be it, as I have been repeating again, on any count, be it religion or gender or whatever. There should be no discrimination. And one problem which the whole of the world witnessed, that I can tell you, when this whole democracy as a system of governance was evolving, so the philosophers who laid the basic foundation of libertarianism leading to whole democratic polity, they cautioned on this. There is a word which you would have heard which is called majoritarianism. right? So, these democratic ideologues, they cautioned of a country turning into majoritarianism in the name of democracy, right? What does it mean? This means in a democracy, if you want to understand in simple terms, elections are taking place periodically, political parties field their candidates. Now, if in a constituency there are 70% Hindus, 20% Muslims, 5% Sikhs, 5% Christians, I mean, I am taking this example hypothetically. Now, if a party decides to field essentially a Hindu candidate, despite the fact there could be many Muslim faces also who I mean good people doing something good, but then they know there are 70% Hindus, so only Hindu candidate has a possibility of winning the election. So, if a deliberate decision is taken on this ground, not on the credentials of the person, but on the religion of the person, and then all those things done by that political party to woo those 70% people, right? So, what will happen? Hindu candidate will win. This is what actually happened. I mean, as a case study, I can tell you, this is what happened in the last UP assembly elections. This is a live example. What happened? In UP assembly, there are 430 seats, right? And there are 430 seats, and then there are constituencies, if we go by number wise, because democracy, the biggest drawback of democracy is the number game. If you have a bigger number, you will do whatever you want to do, which is what is happening. So, what the BJP as a party, because this is a real example, I can name the party. So, what the BJP did, it fielded on all 430 candidates, all Hindus. No Muslim candidate was fielded. So, obviously, whosoever won on a BJP ticket were all Hindus, right? So, the government was formed with those legislators only. All ministers were Hindu. Now, where is the problem? The problem is that if in a state there is 20% population of a particular religion, now those people are not represented in assembly. Those people are not represented in the government, because you belong to a majority community and you have ensured that only people from that community win, and only they are sitting in the government. This means that the primary thing that has to be there in a democratic setup, a democratic government has to be a representative of the country. इसीलिए we use the term representative government, right? तो जो लोग हैं उनका representation होना चाहिए government में. तो आपने एक particular religion को छोड़ दिया, एक particular community को छोड़ दिया. Why? Because you know you are in majority, so you can do whatever you want. So majoritarianism is a big threat to this country. So what I am telling you, this is universal in nature. This is global in nature. The whole concept of majoritarianism you can refer to Google करके पढ़ लेना, देख लेना. तो ये खतरा है. इसीलिए in any such democratic country like India, the policies are made in a manner which are inclusive. This is again very common term which you would have heard. But in practice we are not inclusive. Any government has to be inclusive in its approach, right? Inclusive means कि आपको हिंदुओं को भी साथ रखना है, मुस्लिम को भी रखना है, क्रिश्चियन को भी रखना है, सिख को भी रखना है, इवन एथीस्ट को भी साथ में रखना है. हमारी सोसाइटी में एथीस्ट के लिए जगह ही नहीं है. सबको साथ रखना है. आपको महिलाओं को भी साथ में रखना है, आपको बच्चों को भी, सबके लिए काम करना है, राइट? बट if you go by number, then obviously all those people who are either linguistic minorities or who are either religious minorities or who are gender minorities, they will be left out, right? So this is the biggest danger in democracy. इसीलिए democracy में this is considered the responsibility of the majority community to take all kind of minorities along. आपको सबको साथ लेके चलना है, but unfortunately This is what is not happening in India. This is not happening in so many other countries of the world, which is not right, because this will ultimately lead to the whole democratic system will fall if this continues for long. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. My name is Jyoti Mishra, and I wanna ask, if I am a media person, so that how I manage stress of tight deadlines.
This is a difficult question to me. For the reason that I am a person who works 24/7, 365 days a year, and I've been doing this as a professional. I mean, as a student, I am not including that time. I have been doing this as a professional for the last 40 years, uninterrupted, unstopped. So many times my young colleagues also ask the same question, because the young people, I do not know for what reasons, certain reasons obviously I can understand. Why you feel stress, I don't understand. Why you feel pressure of the deadlines, that I don't understand. But then this is happening, so I accept. I mean, many of my young colleagues have persuaded me to accept that there is a problem like this, so I have accepted that there is a problem like this. Because I have never felt this all my life. At this point also, during these days also, I am doing at least 10 things simultaneously. 10 things simultaneously means I am working for 2 international organizations, working very closely with them, and that work pressure is there. I am working, obviously, this is my primary responsibility, so I am trying to give you people as much time as possible. I am also working on some international project, like I was very recently in Maldives for this UNESCO project, wherein we had gone there to train the Maldivian journalist with regard to gender sensitivity, right. So then lot of time I have, I mean, I have already developed in a way like newsletter. One example, no educational institution in the entire world take out a fortnightly newsletter. We take out. No educational institution in the entire world take so much load in an educational institution कि 40-50 pages का production हो रहा. I do that, and I try to follow the deadline to the extent possible, obviously. So the kind of things that we do, I mean, since the time you people have entered, and this is not that you have entered and we are doing this. This is 365 days like this, right? But we are not under pressure. Even today I am talking to you, then 3 o'clock this Vibrant India series is there. Yesterday also in the evening mostly I do, there is an organization, Global Media Education Council. So that almost every day their program is from 7:30 to 9:30, and I am invariably there. So I am working till 10, and then I start working on my own thing, then I remain working till 12 or 1 or 2 in the night, but in the morning I am here before anybody else is here. So I do not know, it is the answer I can give you of this question is, if you have a strong willpower, that's the only thing, I work with that only. If you have a strong willpower, if you have a conviction, and you are determined to do something, you will be able to do this, nothing can deter you. So इस सारा माइंड गेम है, सब कुछ यहीं से है. अगर आपने तय कर लिया करना है तो फिर करना है, फिर आपको कोई रोक नहीं सकता. But how you work on your mind, wherein you are able to do whatever you decide to do. Anybody who want to do something good for himself or herself and for the society has to travel an extra mile. ठीक है, वो 10 to 5 वाला नहीं चलेगा, फिर तो 10 to 5 करिए. You might be joining as a clerk somewhere and you will end up as a section officer or maybe some higher position and all. But if you want to do something different, something remarkable, something exceptional, something good for yourself, for the society, then you have to overpower such kind of things. And once you start enjoying your work, जब आपको अपना काम करने में मज़ा आने लगेगा, फिर even I will ask you not to do, you will do it. So my job here and the job of my teachers, my team is here to take you to that level. सब लोग नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे, that I know. लेकिन जितने लोग भी पहुंच जाएंगे, once you reach that level which we can also call at the highest level of self-motivation, wherein you are guided by yourself. You are working by yourself. Nobody is asking you to do. Once you reach that level, then nothing is impossible in this world. So once try to do that, make your willpower strong, you will sail through. Yeah. सारे क्वेश्चंस यहाँ बीच से ही आ गए, ना लेफ्ट ना राइट. अच्छा, तुम लोग लेफ्ट राइट में बिलीव सेंट्रलिस्ट हो सारे लोग.
Hello sir, my name is Riddhima.
हाँ, चलो.
And I want to ask you that as we are going to be a part of media in future, so what is the current scenario of media right now? And
मीडिया का सिनेरियो हमेशा अच्छा है. हर चीज़ हमेशा ठीक है. दो चीज़ें समझनी चाहिए यहाँ पे. मीडिया इज़ अ वेरी डाइवर्स फील्ड, राइट. मीडिया जो हम टर्म यूज़ करते हैं, इट इज़ एनकम्पासिंग सो मैनी थिंग्स. मीडिया में आपका जर्नलिज्म भी है, एडवर्टाइजिंग भी है, पब्लिक रिलेशंस भी है, इवेंट मैनेजमेंट भी है, रिसर्च भी है, ठीक है, रेडियो भी है, टेलीविज़न भी है, न्यूज़पेपर्स भी हैं, डिजिटल मीडिया भी है. तो मीडिया बहुत ही डाइवर्स है. तो मीडिया के कौन से पार्ट की बात कर रही हो, एक जनरलाइजेशन इज़ अ बिट डिफ़िकल्ट, राइट. दैट इज़ वन. टू, मीडिया में जो ओपनिंग्स हैं वो बदलती रहती हैं टाइम टू टाइम. जो आज है कल नहीं होगा, कल है वो परसों नहीं होगा. तो तुम्हें ये ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट आर मेजर डेवलपमेंट्स हैपनिंग इन द मीडिया सेक्टर, राइट. दैट इज़ वन पार्ट. सेकेंड, इन व्हाट यू आर इंटरेस्टेड. तुम्हारा दिल कहाँ पे, तुम क्या करना चाहते हो, दैट ऑल्सो विल कीप ऑन चेंजिंग. जो तुमने आज सोचा है वो कल नहीं होगा. एक साल के बाद तुम्हारा मन बदल जाएगा, तुमको कुछ और अच्छा लगने लगेगा, फिर तुम कुछ और सब्जेक्ट पढ़ोगे, फिर तुम्हें कुछ और अच्छा लगने लगेगा. सो विच इज़ अ गुड थिंग, which is, I mean, according to me, this is a very positive thing. One must always keep exploring. That is necessary for your growth, right? तो अब तुमने क्या सोचा करने के बारे में, और जो उस समय मीडिया सेक्टर में क्या चल रहा है, वो दोनों में तालमेल होना चाहिए, राइट. तुमने कोई ऐसी चीज़ सोची जो उस वक्त मीडिया में स्लाइडिंग मोड में है, ज़्यादा जॉब्स नहीं आ रहे, तो वो मिसमैच हो जाएगा. या तुमने कोई ऐसी चीज़ सोच ली जो मीडिया में बूम है उस चीज़ को लेके, देन ऑब्वियसली तुम्हारे लिए सारे दरवाजे खुले हुए हैं. तो ये मैचिंग आपको करना पड़ेगा. द डेवलपमेंट्स विच आर हैपनिंग इन द मीडिया सेक्टर एंड व्हाट यू हैव वर्कड ऑन योरसेल्फ. सबको अपने ऊपर काम करना होता है. तो तुमने अपने ऊपर जो भी काम किया 1 साल 2 साल 3 साल में, उसके साथ तुम कहाँ पहुँची हो, और जो तुम्हारे पास है क्या उसकी ज़रूरत उस समय है मीडिया में. अगर नहीं है तो यू शुड ऑलवेज ए प्लान बी, कि इसमें नहीं है तो ठीक है, जो दूसरी चीज़ मेरे पास है उसके लिए ओपनिंग्स है तो उसमें चले जाओ. तो ये इसके लिए यू हैव टू रिमेन, keep your mind open, your eyes open, and you have to track the developments happening in the media sector.
Hello sir, I am Sasank. Sir, my question is that nowadays Omicron, a new corona variant, is increasing day by day in South Africa. My question is what caused in this pandemic, मतलब फिर से
तो हिंदी में पूछो सवाल, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
सर आगे जो ये क्या फिर से ये जो कोरोना वेरिएंट है, ये नए लॉकडाउन का फिर से ये हो सकता है, नया लॉकडाउन हो सकता है
ये सवाल का जवाब नहीं है क्योंकि मैं ज्योतिषी नहीं हूँ.
सर और कुछ
हमें किसी को नहीं पता, जब ये हुआ हम सभी वेट कर रहे थे कि यार चलो 1 महीने की बात है, हो जाएगा, फिर सोचा चलो 2 महीने में हो जाएगा, होते होते 2020 भी गया, 2021 भी गया, अब सोचा कि सब ठीक हो जाएगा, अब ये नया वेरिएंट आ गया। तो मुझे नहीं, ना तो मैं मेडिकल साइंटिस्ट हूँ और ना मैं एस्ट्रोलॉजर हूँ, तो आई कैन नॉट आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन। हम विश कर सकते हैं, तो विश तो हम कर ही रहे हैं कि सब ठीक हो जाए, अब नहीं होगा तो फिर ठीक है, व्हाट कैन बी डन। हमने तो फरवरी मार्च में भी कुछ चीज़ें खोलने की कोशिश की थी, उसके बाद सेकेंड वेव आ गई, तो फिर बैक टू स्क्वायर वन, कुछ नहीं कर सकते।
So actually I want to ask, do you believe कि patriotism is contradictory to democratic, like democracy, forced patriotism जो आज की तारीख में हो रहा है?
नहीं, patriotism is a good thing. I mean, it's not even good or bad, it's very much natural, right? It's very basic. In the sense कि आप जिस घर में पैदा होते हैं तो आपके पास कभी ये चॉइस नहीं होती कि आप को माँ बाप अच्छे नहीं लगें, आपको अपने माँ बाप अच्छे लगेंगे, है ना। आपके पास ये नहीं होती आपको भाई बहन अच्छे नहीं लगेंगे ही, नेचुरल है। और जो भी इस तरह के आपके दोस्त आपको हमेशा अच्छे लगते हैं, ठीक है। तो जो अपने घर में सराउंडिंग्स में सब अच्छा लगता है, ऐसे ही हम जिस देश में पैदा हुए हैं वो देश हमें अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है। ये एक लाइन की डेफिनेशन है पेट्रियोटिज्म की। तो अच्छे बुरे का सवाल नहीं है कि यहाँ तो हम सब पेट्रियोटिक हैं, क्योंकि जिस देश में हम पैदा हुए वो हमें अच्छा लगता है, इसीलिए तो हम मानते हैं कि जैसे अभी पूछा भी कुछ लोगों ने और लोग मानते भी हैं कि हमारा देश सबसे अच्छा है, हमारी सोसाइटी सबसे अच्छी है, हमारा कल्चर सबसे अच्छा है। ये किसी ने बताया नहीं आपको, ना किसी ने कहा कि तुम इसमें विश्वास करो, ये नेचुरल इंस्टिंक्ट है, अपने आप आ गया, ठीक है। तो पेट्रियोटिज्म की परिभाषा यही है। इसी पेट्रियोटिज्म को समझना है तो इस बात से समझ लो, ठीक है। अब उसके बाद जो कंफ्यूजिंग प्रॉब्लम है, जहाँ पे सब लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं, वो है नेशनलिज्म, ठीक है। तो अब ज़्यादातर लोग या तो उतने समझदार नहीं होते या जानबूझ के कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करते हैं पॉलिटिशियंस, जैसे आप फंस जाएं उसमें, उनके ट्रैप में। तो नेशनलिज्म इज़ कम्प्लीटली ए डिफरेंट थिंग, ठीक है। नेशनलिज्म क्या है? नेशनलिज्म के कुछ ख़ास इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं, वो पढ़ लेना सारे लोग, जो पढ़ना चाहते हैं इसको पता है तो अच्छी बात है। उसके ख़ास इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं। क्या इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं नेशनलिज्म के? नेशनलिज्म के इंग्रेडिएंट्स ये हैं दैट इट मेक्स यू बिलीव इन द सुपीरियोरिटी ऑफ सर्टेन थिंग्स। मतलब हमारा देश ही महान है, दूसरा देश भी तो महान हो सकता है, वहाँ के रहने वालों के लिए वो महान है, ठीक है। तो ये सुपीरियोरिटी हमें कहाँ ले जाती है? मैंने मान लिया कि मैं ही सबसे बड़ा विद्वान हूँ, तो मैं तुम्हारी बात ही नहीं सुनूंगा, क्योंकि मैं सबसे बड़ा विद्वान हूँ। मतलब फिर तुम्हारे लिए स्पेस ख़त्म हो गया। सुपीरियोरिटी का जो पूरा थॉट है, इट्स ए वेरी डैमेजिंग कॉन्सेप्ट। आप अपने को अच्छा समझें यहाँ तक तो ठीक है, लेकिन आपने को इतना अच्छा समझें कि सिर्फ आप ही अच्छे हैं और बाकी कोई अच्छा नहीं है। इट फाइनली लीड्स टू हेजिमनी, इट फाइनली लीड्स टू इम्पीरियलिज्म। पूरी दुनिया में यही हुआ। अंग्रेज़ों ने कहा कि वो तो सुपीरियर रेस है, सबसे ज़्यादा बड़ी रेस, अच्छी रेस है दुनिया में, सो दे हैव ए राइट टू गवर्न एंड टू कैप्चर द एंटायर वर्ल्ड, एंड दे डिड इट। स्पेन ने कहा नहीं, हम भी बेटर हैं, तो कुछ स्पेन ने कब्जा कर लिया। तो ये जो माइंडसेट है नेशनलिज्म वाला, ये फैटल है। इट मेक्स यू बिलीव योर सुप्रीमेसी, योर कल्चर, योर लैंग्वेज, ठीक है। आपको मालूम है आपकी लैंग्वेज सबसे अच्छी है, तो आप कंपलसरी कर देंगे कि सब लोग मेरी ही लैंग्वेज बोलेंगे, ठीक है। हो सकता है किसी की मदर टंग, इंडिया जैसे इतनी डाइवर्स सोसाइटी है, अब आप कह दें हिंदी ही बोलेंगे पूरे देश में लोग, तो व्हाट विल हैपन? पाकिस्तान ने ये किया। पाकिस्तान ने क्या किया? पाकिस्तान declared Urdu as its national language, ignoring the fact that in East Pakistan the population was much more as compared to West Pakistan. This is before 1971, right? आबादी ज़्यादा थी ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में और वहाँ के सारे लोग बांग्ला बोलते थे, बंगाली थे, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि उर्दू इज़ द नेशनल लैंग्वेज। तो जो ईस्ट पाकिस्तान के बंगाली थे, उन्होंने कहा नहीं, हमारी लैंग्वेज तो बांग्ला है, हमारी लैंग्वेज तो उर्दू नहीं है। There was a conflict which led to the breaking up of पाकिस्तान. पाकिस्तान 2 टुकड़ों में बट गया, बांग्लादेश अलग हो गया. ठीक है, तो ये जो नेशनलिज्म वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है, ये आपको देर आर लॉट ऑफ impositions, such impositions which are not rational. And there is another concept of nationalism which is again very, very dangerous, which since it makes you believe the superiority, तो आपके पास औरों से बेहतर सेना होनी चाहिए, आपके पास औरों से ज़्यादा पैसा होना चाहिए, ठीक है, जिससे कि आप बाकी लोगों को दबा पाएँ कि हम सबसे बड़े, तुम्हारा तो कोई औकात है नहीं, तुम तो छोटे छोटे हो हमारे आसपास. तो क्या होगा आपके रिलेशन इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, जब नेशनलिज्म आपका, जब अल्ट्रा नेशनलिज्म तक आप पहुंच गए, तो आप नेपाल को भी धमकाते रहेंगे, आप भूटान को भी धमकाएंगे, आप श्रीलंका को भी धमकाएंगे, क्योंकि आप तो बड़े हैं, आप सुपीरियर हैं, आपके पास ज़्यादा माइट है, आपके पास ज़्यादा पैसा है. तो आप गूगल करके पढ़िएगा इसको. जो नेशनलिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट है उसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट इंग्रेडिएंट है दैट यू हैव टू हैव एन एनिमी. आपके पास एनिमी होना चाहिए. अगर एनिमी नहीं है तो नेशनलिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट ग्रो ही नहीं कर सकता. इसलिए वो सारे देश जो नेशनलिज्म में यकीन करते हैं, वो या तो एनिमी उनको मिल जाता है भाग्य से उनके, तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं मिला तो वो एनिमी क्रिएट करते हैं. तो जैसे हमारे एनिमी कौन है इंडिया के? पाकिस्तान और चाइना. तो आप 24 घंटे यही सुनते हैं कि ये दोनों बहुत बुरे हैं. तो ये बुरे हैं तभी तो हम अच्छे हैं. अगर वो भी अच्छे हो, अगर हमने ये मान लिया कि ये भी अच्छे हैं, तो वी विल बिलीव इन को एग्जिस्टेंस. मैं भी अच्छा, तुम भी अच्छे, दोनों अच्छे हैं, तुम अपने फ्रेम में अच्छे हो, मैं अपने फ्रेम में अच्छा हूँ, दोनों साथ मिलकर रह सकते हैं. तो देन वी विल लीड, जो नेहरू जी ने 50-60s में कॉन्सेप्ट दिया था, द को एग्जिस्टेंस. तब तो हम को एग्जिस्ट करेंगे. जब हम बेटर हैं तो तुम्हें हमारी बात माननी पड़ेगी. तो ये जो नेशनलिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट है वो प्रॉब्लमेटिक है, पेट्रियोटिज्म का बिल्कुल नहीं है. तो वी नीड टू क्रिएट ए डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन दैट, राइट.
One last question, sir, कि should journalism be like a journalist should be a critic or not?
जर्नलिज्म का जो बेसिक प्रमाइस है, वो क्रिटिसिज्म इज इन द फाउंडेशन. अगर आप क्रिटिकल नहीं है तो आप जर्नलिस्ट नहीं है. जर्नलिस्ट का बेसिक काम है टू एक्सपोज ऑल दैट विच इज रॉन्ग इन द सोसाइटी. एनीथिंग विच इज रॉन्ग इन द सोसाइटी, टू एक्सपोज दैट ऑल. ये एक लाइन का काम है जर्नलिज्म का, ठीक है. मतलब अगर कोई घोटाला हो रहा है तो उसके बारे में बता दें, लोगों के राइट्स को सरकारें छीन रही है उसके बारे में बताना है, किसी ख़ास सेक्शन फार्मर्स के साथ, महिलाओं के साथ अगर इनजस्टिस हो रहा है उसको सामने लाना है, अगर कहीं कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल डेवलपमेंट का प्रोजेक्ट इनकम्प्लीट पड़ा है, 20 साल से काम नहीं हो रहा है, उसको सामने लाना. जर्नलिस्ट का काम ही है उन चीज़ों को सामने लाना जो ठीक नहीं हो रही हैं. सो दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? सो दैट ए प्रेशर इज बिल्ट on those who are sitting in the governance and they set the things right. उद्देश्य ये है कि जो चीज़ें ठीक नहीं हो रही हैं वो जब सामने आएंगी, पब्लिक ओपिनियन माउंट होगी, गवर्नमेंट प्रेशर में आएगी और जो गलत चीज़ें हैं उनको वो ठीक कर लेगी. दिस इज़ व्हाट डेमोक्रेसी इज़. तो डेमोक्रेसी में मीडिया इज़ एन इफेक्टिव टूल, इफेक्टिव इंस्ट्रूमेंट. तो उसको तो मीडिया को तो क्रिटिकल रहना ही है. अगर मीडिया क्रिटिकल नहीं है तो वो मीडिया ही नहीं है, ठीक है. दिस इज माई डेफिनेशन, यू मे डिफर. आई ऑलवेज वेलकम ए डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन. तो ऐसा नहीं मैंने कहा तो मान लो, तुम अगर डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन रखते हो, यू आर वेलकम. या
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Adhar Sethi, and my question is related to Delhi University. Sir, as we all know that there are many women's colleges in Delhi University and the rest remaining colleges which are both for male and female. But sir, as we have noticed that there are also 27% seats reserved only for women, but there are nothing for males. So what are your point of view on this thing?
देखो दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी की जो तुमने एग्जाम्पल दिया वो उसको एज ए केस हम मैं बात कर सकता हूँ, अदरवाइज दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के बारे में देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन टॉकिंग अबाउट देयर सिस्टम. बट देन द क्वेश्चन दैट यू हैव रेज्ड, रिजर्वेशन हैज़ टू बी देयर फॉर ऑल सच people from all such, whether it's on the basis of gender, whether it's on the basis of social settings, whether it's on the basis of the economic status, but reservation has to be there given the conditions which are there in the country, right? This is one. Two, हाँ इसमें कुछ कहना चाहते हो तुम?
Yeah, I am talking about the male and female. I am not talking about the economical conditions.
नहीं तो women must be given the reservation. What is wrong in that? They are not being given reservation. That's a wrong thing. At various levels, women are not given reservation, which is a wrong thing done. For instance, there is a bill pending in Parliament for almost 20 years or so, which prescribes for 33% reservation for women in assemblies and Parliament. But unfortunately, there is no consensus on this, and there are number of political parties which do not believe in giving reservation to women. But then there is another example to this. There is an act which you would have studied, I do not know. There is one act which is known as Panchayati Raj Act, right? And there are two amendments which have taken place in Indian Constitution in 91 and 92, following which there is a reservation of 33% given to women in the civic bodies, means Gram Panchayat, then this Zilla Parishad, and then Nagar Palika, Nagar Mahapalika, Nagar Nigam. इन सारी बॉडीज़ में पिछले 25 सालों से ऑलमोस्ट रिजर्वेशन है, राइट है, और बहुत ही रैशनल तरीके का रिजर्वेशन है, वेयर इन रोटेशनल रिजर्वेशन है. मतलब एक कोई गांव है, अगर वहाँ पे मान लीजिए कि 10 मेंबर हैं पंचायत के, तो अगर उसमें 2 लोगों का रिजर्वेशन है तो वो 1 या 2 इलेक्शन तक वो चलेगा, फिर वहाँ से हटा के दूसरे गांव में जिसमें रिजर्वेशन नहीं है वहाँ पे लागू कर देंगे, ठीक है. या नंबर अगर सपोज 2 है तो वहाँ पे फिर 1 हो जाएगा, वो 1 फिर दूसरी जगह, तो रोटेशन है, तो विच इज़ अ वेरी डायनामिक सिस्टम. तो रिजर्वेशन तो महिलाओं को देना ही चाहिए, नहीं दे रहे हैं तो वो गलत कर रहे हैं. तो तुम्हारे दिमाग में ये सवाल कहाँ से आया कि रिजर्वेशन देने में प्रॉब्लम है?
सब प्रॉब्लम का नहीं आया मेरे में कि ये आया कैसे, मेरे में ये था.
हाँ कैसे आया,
बस
क्या
प्रॉब्लम का नहीं था.
अच्छा कैसे रिजर्वेशन क्यों हुआ? नहीं रिजर्वेशन तो होना ही चाहिए. रिजर्वेशन की एक सिंगल लाइन में समझ सकते हो. रिजर्वेशन इज गिवन एट एनी लेवल, इन एनी डिपार्टमेंट, एनी एजेंसी, एनी गवर्नमेंट. रिजर्वेशन इज ऑफर्ड टू इंश्योर अ लेवल प्लेइंग ग्राउंड, ठीक है. एक आदमी बहुत नीचे, एक आदमी ऊपर है, तो दोनों को तुम अगर एक साथ खड़ा कर दोगे तो फिर वो नीचे वाला कभी compete नहीं कर पाएगा. तो उसको रेज करके उसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे ले आना है और तब उसको साथ में दौड़ाना है. तो इसलिए वो दैट इज़ द एक्स्ट्रा सपोर्ट which the government is supposed to provide to all those people who have lagged behind in development for whatever reasons, who have been lagging behind. तो जो पीछे रह गया है, जो नीचे रह गया है, उसको ऊपर उठा के आगे लेके आना है, जिससे जो ऑलरेडी आगे हैं वो उनके साथ खड़ा हो पाए और एक लेवल प्लेइंग बन सके. दैट्स अ बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट of reservation, right? Now modalities can be disputed. Modalities means कितना रिजर्वेशन, जैसे अभी मैंने एग्जाम्पल दिया नगर पालिकाओं या ग्राम पंचायतों का कि कितने दिन देना है, कैसे रोटेट करना है, कैसे एक जगह के बाद दूसरी जगह भी देना है. मॉडलिटीज़ कैन बी वर्कड आउट कि कितना देना, कैसे देना, कितने समय तक देना, ये चीज़ें वर्कआउट की जा सकती हैं. बट रिजर्वेशन एज ए पॉलिसी बहुत अच्छी है, राइट. एक चीज़ बस और बताऊंगा, मेरा टेक इसमें, ये तो मैंने बहुत बेसिक रैशनल बात बताई, बट व्हाट आई थिंक ऑन दिस इशू, माय टेक ऑन दिस इज दैट व्हाट फॉर इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस देयर इज ए नीड ऑफ रिजर्वेशन इवन इन 2021, दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द लैक ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन द कंट्री. ये 40-50 साल पहले तो ठीक था, और मैंने कॉन्सेप्चुअल लेवल पे बताया वो भी ठीक है। बट देन सपोज मैं बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ तुम्हें। सपोज BJMC में जितने भी नंबर ऑफ कॉलेजेस हैं, आई थिंक 13-14 कॉलेजेस हैं, सारे कॉलेजेस में मिला के 3000 सीटें हैं। मुझे एग्जैक्ट नहीं पता, मैं एक एग्जांपल ले रहा हूँ, ठीक है। सारे कॉलेजेस में मिला के 3000 सीटें हैं, ठीक है, और 3000 स्टूडेंट ही CET में बैठे, सबको एडमिशन मिल जाएगा, ठीक है। अब दूसरी एग्जांपल कि 3000 सीटें हैं, 6000 स्टूडेंट्स बैठे, ठीक है। जिस जिसको रिजर्वेशन जिस जिस कैटेगरी में मिलना था मिल गया, उसके बाद जो उनको एडमिशन मिल गया, और जो जनरल कैटेगरी के थे वो 1000, 1500, 2000 स्टूडेंट रह गए जिन्हें कहीं एडमिशन नहीं मिला। क्यों? क्योंकि कुछ कैटेगरीज का रिजर्वेशन था और वो उस रिजर्वेशन में नहीं आते थे, ठीक है। अब इसका सोल्यूशन विच आई कैन प्रोवाइड, इंट्रोड्यूस, अगर 6000 कैंडिडेट्स बैठ रहे हैं एक साल और 3000 सीटें हैं, तो व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट शुड डू, व्हाट द यूनिवर्सिटी शुड डू, इंक्रीज द नंबर ऑफ सीट्स इन दोज कॉलेजेस, मैचिंग कर दें तो सबको मिल जाएगा। दूसरा, उन कॉलेजेस का अगर नहीं, उनमें सीटें नहीं बढ़ाना है, गिव BJMC 2 or 3 मोर कॉलेजेस। तो जब आप डिमांड और सप्लाई का गैप जो है वो रिड्यूस कर देंगे तो रिजर्वेशन की ज़रूरत ही ख़त्म हो जाएगी। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? देयर इज़ ए नीड ऑफ मोर कॉलेजेस, देयर इज़ ए नीड ऑफ मोर यूनिवर्सिटीज़, देयर इज़ ए नीड ऑफ मोर एजुकेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, देयर इज़ ए नीड ऑफ मोर हॉस्पिटल्स। जो कोरोना में हुआ हम सब ने देखा, क्या प्रॉब्लम आई, हॉस्पिटल नहीं थे, बेड्स नहीं थे। तो अगर आपके पास ज़्यादा हॉस्पिटल्स हैं प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती, अगर आपका हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बेटर होता तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती। दिस मीन्स दिस कंट्री नीड्स बेटर एजुकेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, दिस कंट्री नीड्स बेटर हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एंड दिस कंट्री नीड्स सो मैनी सच थिंग्स विच इफ़ आर रेज्ड। जैसे सरकारी नौकरी में रिजर्वेशन की प्रॉब्लम क्यों आती है? क्योंकि नौकरी ही नहीं है। तो नौकरियां हैं नहीं और लेने वाले लाखों में, तो वो मिसमैच होता है, फिर लड़ाई होती है। रिजर्वेशन वालों को मिल जाता है, बाकी लोगों को नहीं मिलता। जिसको नहीं मिलता उनको लगता है दे आर डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ देयर राइट्स, बट दे नेवर अंडरस्टैंड दैट दे शुड बिल्ड प्रेशर ऑन द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज एंड द गवर्नमेंट टू एनहेंस दैट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। हम इलेक्शन में कितने, तुम लोग तो अभी बहुत यंग हो, इलेक्शन में क्या कभी ये मुद्दा होता है कि उस पार्टी को वोट देंगे जो ज़्यादा अस्पताल बनवाएगी, या उस पार्टी को वोट देंगे जो ज़्यादा स्कूल कॉलेज खोलेगा? नहीं करते। जो मंदिर बना देती है उसको वोट दे देते हैं। तो जब मंदिर बनाने वाली पार्टी को आप वोट देंगे तो आपको रिजर्वेशन की समस्या झेलनी पड़ेगी। तो young people should understand these issues. Your concept have to be clear. What are the priority areas? Reservation के नाम पे, रिजर्वेशन मिलता किसी को नहीं है, बहुत पीनट है ही नहीं, जॉब्स ही नहीं है, रिजर्वेशन कहाँ मिलेगा? तो मिलता नहीं है, लेकिन उसके नाम पे वोट मिलता है। तो इसलिए आपको ये यंग लोगों को ये समझने की ज़रूरत है कि अगर आप डेवलपमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अपना ठीक कर लेंगे, रिजर्वेशन की ज़रूरत ही ख़त्म हो जाएगी।
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, nice to meet you, sir. I have a question, sir. Can I?
बोलो हाँ जल्दी।
Can I know your opinion about privatization of sectors of governments, some sectors of government?
तुम बहुत बड़े बड़े सवाल पूछ ले रहे हो। मुझे एक, जितने सवाल तुमने पूछे रिजर्वेशन भी मुझे मुश्किल हुआ उसको इस सवाल का जवाब दे। ये सारे कई सवाल ऐसे आए हैं जो मुझे 1 से 2 घंटा चाहिए जवाब देने के लिए, तो क्योंकि फिर वो बड़ा आधा अधूरा हो जा रहा है। लेकिन मैं 2 लाइन में ही जवाब दूंगा, इसका 2 लाइन में ही जवाब देने की कोशिश करूँगा। प्राइवेटाइजेशन के बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स, एक है जैसे हमारे यहाँ कन्वेंशनल है कि 2 तरह की कंपनीज रही जब से हम आज़ाद हुए, पब्लिक सेक्टर, प्राइवेट सेक्टर। बट हमारी चूँकि मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी थी तो हमारा जो सारा फोकस था वो पब्लिक सेक्टर के ऊपर था, प्राइवेट सेक्टर के ऊपर नहीं था। मतलब क्या था कि द गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल कंपनीज थी, गवर्नमेंट के कंट्रोल वाली कंपनी थी पब्लिक सेक्टर की, विच वॉज द नीड ऑफ द आवर। 60s और 70s और 80s में डेवलपमेंट होता नहीं अगर सरकार के कंट्रोल में नहीं होती चीज़ें, और उस समय प्राइवेट सेक्टर के पास कुछ था नहीं इंडिया में, बहुत गरीबी थी, बहुत बैकवर्डनेस थी, पैसा नहीं था, प्राइवेट सेक्टर होता ही नहीं था, ठीक है। और प्राइवेट सेक्टर और सरकारी सेक्टर में भी सैलरीज ऐसी थी कि आपको खाने को नहीं मिलेगा, फूड ग्रेन्स नहीं थे। आई हैव पास थ्रू ऑल दैट फेजेस कि खाने को अनाज नहीं था 60s में इस देश में, जब ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन आने से पहले दूध नहीं था इस देश में, ठीक है, राशनिंग होती थी, था नहीं कोई चीज़ें। तो सरकार की जिम्मेदारी थी कि ऐसी पॉलिसीज़ बनाए कि वो ये सारा कर पाए। फिर जब इकोनॉमी को लिबरलाइज किया गया 1991 में, जब प्राइवेट सेक्टर आया तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर गॉट ए बूस्ट, और पिछले 15-20 सालों में देयर इज़ ए बिग बूस्ट टू प्राइवेट सेक्टर। नाउ I will not say that private sector should not be healthy for the simple reason because we have chosen a path which is based on capitalism. Now, capitalism का कौन सा फॉर्म हम रखना चाहते हैं, ठीक है। एक हम माइल्ड फॉर्म रखना चाहते हैं जहाँ बैलेंस हो पब्लिक सेक्टर के साथ, या बहुत क्रूड फॉर्म हम कैपिटलिज्म का रखना चाहते हैं, या जो अनदर टर्म विच हैज़ बीन कॉइंड एंड विच इज़ वेरी मच इन यूज़, क्या हम क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म का पूरा फॉर्मेट चाहते हैं। तो अब अगर हम क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म तक चले जाएंगे, जो एक लाइन में बता सकता हूँ, बाकी अपने आप पढ़ना पड़ेगा तुम्हें, जहाँ पर देयर इज़ ए नेक्सस बिटवीन द पीपल हु आर सिटिंग इन द गवर्नमेंट एंड पीपल who are owning properties, who are owning industries. जो पूंजीपति कैपिटलिस्ट हैं, बिजनेस बिग बिजनेसमैन है, अंबानी है, अडानी है वो, और जो लोग सरकार में बैठे हैं, चीफ मिनिस्टर्स, प्राइम मिनिस्टर, इनके बीच का जो नेक्सस है, ठीक है, दिस इज नोन एज क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म। तो ऐसे इस जो अभी हम क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म के फेज में एंटर कर गए। इस फेज में क्या है कि जो भी सरकार का है, सरकार वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को देना चाहती है, बाय हुक और क्रुक, एज ए पॉलिसी और इवन विदाउट ए पॉलिसी। वाई? बिकॉज दे बिलीव, अगेन मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि कोई देश का विरोधी है या समर्थक है, इट्स ऑल अबाउट योर आइडियोलॉजिकल बेंड। एज पर कैपिटलिज्म, एज पर क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म, दोज हु बिलीव इन दिस, दे बिलीव that only by promoting private sector the country will develop. That is their strong conviction, because of which they are trying to sell out everything to the private sector, completely following the example of the United States. तो जो अभी पब्लिक सेक्टर है वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को देना चाहते हैं। कॉमनली तुम सारे लोगों में भी, बहुत सारे लोगों के कॉमन लोग भी ये समझते हैं कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर को दे देंगे तो सब बढ़िया हो जाएगा, सरकार में कोई काम नहीं करता, विच इज़ ए मिसकंसेप्शन, ठीक है। सरकारें क्या करती हैं क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म में, बहुत ही डेलिबरेट तरीके से सरकारी इंस्टीट्यूशंस को बर्बाद करती हैं। एग्जाम्पल, BSNL का सबसे, भारत संचार निगम लिमिटेड, ठीक है, इसको सारी सरकारों ने पिछले 20 सालों में उसको प्राइवेट सेक्टर को 4G दे दिया, उनको 4G नहीं दिया, जबकि पब्लिक सेक्टर की कंपनी है। तो क्या हुआ, कंपटीशन में पिछड़ गए वोडाफोन से और एयरटेल से। जब कंपटीशन में पिछड़ गए तो जो लोग BSNL की सर्विस लेते थे या MTNL की लेते थे, वो सारे प्राइवेट टेलीकॉम कंपनीज पे चले गए। BSNL के सब्सक्राइबर घट गए, जब घट गए तो उनका घाटा होने लगा। जब घाटा होने लगा तो कहा कि ये तो घाटा कर रहे हैं, सरकार ने कहा इतना घाटा तो हम करेंगे नहीं, इनको बेच देते हैं। ये लाइव एग्जाम्पल है, ये तुम चेक कर सकते हो सारी डिटेल्स। तो सरकारें जानबूझ के ये करती हैं। तो बट अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, अभी दिस इज अगेन माई थिंकिंग कि दिस इज वेरी डेंजरस साइन। If you will sell out everything to the private sector and there will nothing remains with the government, it's very risky. Latest, अगर तुमने पूछा सवाल तो तुम लोगों को कुछ वो पता होगा, ONGC का देख लो अभी। ONGC में बॉम्बे हाई, अगर तुमने किसी ने नाम सुना हो या पढ़ा हो, जहाँ पे एक्सप्लोरेशन होता है तेल का, बॉम्बे हाई को प्राइवेट सेक्टर को दे रहे, विच इज़ नॉट अंडरस्टैंडेबल। देश के एसेट्स आप ऐसे कैसे प्राइवेट सेक्टर को दे सकते? बट देयर इज नो डिबेट ऑन दिस। किसी तुमने टीवी चैनल पे डिबेट देखी कि बॉम्बे हाई को क्यों दे रहे हैं? किसी को पता भी नहीं होगा तुम लोगों में से। तो डेमोक्रेसी की एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट शर्त है कि यू हैव टू बी नॉलेजेबल, आपको पता होना चाहिए। डेमोक्रेसी इज, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन इस रेंज में थे Democracy is for the people who are knowledgeable, who are vigilant and who can raise their voice. आपको पहले पता हो, फिर आप में ये हिम्मत हो कि आप उस बात को उठाएं, उसको बोलें. अगर नहीं बोलेंगे, any party, any government will take you for a ride, which is what is happening. सारा blatantly गलत चीज़ें हो रही, nobody is there to speak on that. तो अब वही मीडिया की बात है जो तुमने पूछा था सवाल, क्रिटिकल होने. मीडिया का काम है कि उठाओ कि ये क्या कर, बॉम्बे हाई को क्यों बेच रहे, ये मीडिया का काम है, नहीं करते. वहाँ पे जो अडानी का पोर्ट है गुजरात में, 3000 करोड़ की ड्रग पकड़ी गई. ठीक है, नो डिबेट ऑन दैट. उसके पास एक पुड़िया मिल गई, उसको पकड़ लिया शाहरुख खान के लिए. So this is something which you need to understand. 3000 करोड़ वाले को बचा लिया और 2.5 ग्राम वाले को आपने पकड़ लिया. So who will raise this voice? Only, I mean, you people, the young people, the vigilant people and the media. यही मीडिया का रोल है. तो एज ए मीडिया पर्सन यही तुम्हारा रोल है, या एज फ्यूचर मीडिया पर्सन तुम्हारा आज से ही यही रोल है कि ऐसी चीज़ों को समझो, पकड़ो और बोलो. ठीक है.
Thank you, sir.